Why indentured labor was taken by the British from India to other colonies? Have they been able to preserve their cultural identity over there? Now, this question sounded really different because they're talking about indentured labor and we generally don't really focus on it. Sometimes when we study about the Pravasi Bharatiya, the people who have migrated, then we can learn about indentured labor, but we don't really focus on it. But still, this question has come, so you have to handle. So, why indentured labor was taken? And second, have they been able to preserve their cultural identity over there? This is a very interesting question, and for this I had a lot of things coming to my mind. So I just first covered why it was taken. First I tried to cover in my intro the British colonialism, that how the British had not only colonized our country but also other countries, and they were taking labor from India to other countries. So why other countries they were taking? Because there were sugarcane plantations or there were spices being planted in other countries, for example, in Southeast Asia or in South America. So there they needed labor. They needed cheap, affordable labor who could work for them. And since we are talking about indentured labor, we can especially talk about the indentured labor. If you read about this in the NCERT or somewhere, you'll find out that indentured labor are those who have an agreement with the British that they'll complete it, and they are like, just very close to being the slaves. So they're not in a very good condition, they're not provided with very good working or living condition, but they somehow manage. So I was reminded at that moment of the word girmitya that Gandhiji might have coined sometime, word girmitya. And this is a word which those people used because they were on an agreement and they couldn't say that, so they said girmitya. Okay, so these are some of the things that were coming into my mind when I was thinking about indentured labor, and then I explained in a couple of points why they were taken, some plantation working, etc. The second part of the question, I had some clue about it. Have they been able to preserve their cultural identity over there? So yes, recently in the last year, on the Pravasi Bharatiya Divas in January, what happened? People from across the world who are there in different countries, who are originally from India, but who are part of the political setup of that country, they were specially called here. And there was a kind of a political congregation that happened. So their interviews were held, and there those people said that, we are very proud of our Indian cultural heritage. So some examples were coming to my mind, how in Southeast Asia, even today, there are a Ramayana which is being performed as a theatre. You have Ramayana, Mahabharata being performed there. So these are our cultural traditions that they are trying to keep. Then Diwali being celebrated, in Southeast Asia and things like that. Since we're especially talking about indentured labor, you can also talk about maybe in United States as well, or South America they were taken, and how there they are keeping alive their cultural traditions. When you talk about cultural traditions, it's not only about the art forms, but it can also be about the food. So I mentioned how some of the food items of our country are especially made there, and they are keeping their identities alive. So I just tried to quote a lot of examples that came to my mind.